I have a couple of things that I like to use when I'm doing submissions. I have this little mat right here. It's kind of like a mouse pad, but just something that I can put on top that's not going to scratch my card, attract too much lint, dust, stuff like that. I have a lighted magnifying glass that I'm going to use to really check out the surface of the cards here. A brand new microfiber cloth that I like to use a brand new one, especially on a high value card. These ones we want to use a little extra special care when we're sending these off for grading, because doing this process right that we're going to be going through right now can be the difference between a PSA 8 and a PSA 9, and that on this particular card, especially this one, is hundreds of dollars in difference. So what we're about to do is extremely important, which is why I want to show you the process I go through and how we get beautifully graded PSA 10 cards like this Galaxy promo that we have right here. So let's get into taking a look at the cards. I am going to throw on some gloves right now because, again, with this type of a value of card, we obviously want to be very, very careful with any card that we're grading and sending off to PSA. But when it's a very high value like this, we want to be extra special careful. And I'm going to throw on the gloves here because I don't want to put any extra fingerprints that are already on here. So let's start with the hollow first. I'm going to put this little guy off to the side. And let's get out one of our cloths because we need to clean off the surface first and get this into a brand new sleeve. And then we'll start to take a look. So these guys you can get on Amazon. I think this was a 5 or a 6 pack. It's a 6 pack. These guys run probably $6, $7. You can reuse them. I'm going to use a brand new one for this card just because I want to be 100% sure there's no dust or junk on this cloth. So I've got this right here. I'll hold on to it, put it off to the side, and then I've got my PSA semi-rigid sleeves that I'm going to put the cards inside of. They load right here in the top. You can see they're very flexible. That makes it easy to get the card out, but we have to be extra careful when they're in here because we don't want to bend our cards. And then last, I have these penny sleeves. We're always going to use brand new ones straight out of the pack when we're submitting to PSA, no matter what the card is, because we want to ensure that there's no fingerprints, no dust, no animal hair, anything that could potentially get into the card and mess with the surface. We want to get rid of all that stuff. So you can see this top loader, it's in pretty bad shape. It's scratchy as all heck. So this is definitely not the way we want to submit a card, whether it's going to PSA, CGC, or anywhere, right? So let's very carefully take this out of the sleeve. And we're gonna take a look at this card. Now, for a Brazil print, the corners and the card itself, just on first look, it looks really nice, to be quite honest. The Brazil prints and the Italy prints are kind of known for not being the best quality, but this card right here, not too bad. I'm gonna toss this off to the side. I'm gonna carefully pick this up so you guys can see it before we get into all of our cleaning. So this is how we look right now. Beautiful hollow, beautiful card. I mean, this is pretty darn clean, you guys. For a Brazil print, there's a little bit of stuff at the tippy top, but that is a pretty nice looking card. All right, I can already see some particulates and some smudges and stuff on the surface, which I would expect because people don't usually go through this process before they sell a card. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep this folded, okay? And now we're gonna put right on the top. We're gonna hold right here gently, and we're gonna pull this towards us to pull all of the dirt and junk off of the surface of the card. And you'll see the difference in it. Already you can see it's already looking nicer, more shiny. And the purpose of this is so that we get a better surface grade when it's going to PSA, and also so that visually it looks more stunning to a grader. Because remember, these graders are human beings. The way that it looks offhand and first impression is going to color the rest of the grading process. So we want this to look absolutely spectacular when we send it in. Now, I never want to think that a card can 10, because I don't send in cards expecting 10s. When they come back 10, I'm really happy. But man, is that a clean surface, and is that some clean cornering on that card. I mean, my goodness, guys, look at that. That is what you're looking for when you're bidding on an eBay auction and you're trying to figure out what you want to grade. You want something that has a low population, like these Brazil prints. You want a high value card from the set, and this is the highest, literally the tip top best card. And then you want something that's retaining value and potentially is going to grow over time. And this one, man, it looks so nice. Let's flip it over. And we're going to go ahead and go through that same process here on the back. I'm just going to hold it down. I like to use my thumb. I got big old thumbs. And we're just going to pull all the dirt starting from the center and moving toward the outside. We don't want to go from the outside in because you can bend the corners. So we want to put some pressure on there, but we don't want to put a lot. Now I can see a scratch and a little bit of a dent right there. So unfortunately this card is not going to 10. There's also a teeny bit of whitening on the side, but usually on the back, PSA is a little bit more forgiving, and this definitely could 9. And to 9 on a Brazil is almost as good as getting a 10, because that's not common either. But this looks pretty good. So you can take a look on the back and see, and I'll show you the things that I see, okay? On this edge right here, you can see some lines and whitening. I'll try and bring it up closer so you can see with the camera right there, okay? On this side, there's some white edges. Also, if you look in the top corner, there's a little bit of whitening in the corner right there. And right here, if you look right where the blue part is underneath the belt right there, if you can see, there's a little bit of a dent if you look in the light. So this is where a magnifying glass is going to come into play. Now we're going to take a look at the surface of the card and really get up there and see what else is happening here. And I'm not seeing too much on the front, which is excellent, because the front is the most important part. It's tough with the Fortnite cards to sometimes tell the centering if you're not used to looking for centering on a card, because there's no border. So it's tough when there's no border to be able to kind of know what you're looking for. But on these Fortnite cards, your key is how far the Fortnite logo is from the edge of the card. And if you take a look at a PSA 10, you get a really good idea of what that needs to look like. You also can buy one of these centering tools that I have right here. They look just like this. You can get them on Amazon for a couple bucks. And when you put this over the top of a card, it allows you to take a look at the centering percentages and see how this lines up. And centering to me looks pretty good on this one. It might be a teens off to the left, but it's not much. So all these different factors come into play when we're submitting to PSA. You're looking at the centering, you're looking at the surface, you're looking at the corners, and you're looking at the edges. All these different things play a part in the grade that we're gonna get. So this is looking pretty good at this point. I'm gonna give it one last swipe, just because we've been kind of putting some different things on it and looking at it, just to get all of the dust and particulates off of the card. Okay, same thing at the bottom. I'm gonna pull that down gently. Okay, and now we're gonna do the same on the back. And what I'm gonna do here is actually lay it on the inside of my cloth, because I don't want to add anything new to my card. And we're going to clean off the back here gently, gently, just to get all of that dust and stuff off of there. And then we're going to get this inside of a sleeve so that it's totally protected. All right, guys, so Now we're ready to grab a sleeve, pull it right from the middle, so you make sure that it's not one that's been touched yet. I'm gonna grab this one right here. Make sure that it all looks good, it looks good. This is the sleeve that's gonna be inside of your case. So this one I can kind of see in the light has some junk in it. So I'm gonna try and grab another one that's a little bit better. Sometimes these penny sleeves aren't like super clear. Let's get a couple of them and see here. It's easier to see in the light. They all kind of have this little line pattern in them, but that one's not too bad. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our sleeve. And again, wearing our gloves right here is going to allow us to keep any extra fingerprints off of here. I want to make sure that there's no junk on the outside. And we're going to take our card and we're going to very carefully sleeve it, just like so, inside of our penny sleeve. Okay, so now our card, it's nice and protected. What I like to do at this point is to take my cloth and actually wipe down that penny sleeve, just because I want everything to look really, really nice. Now we're gonna get this top loaded inside of, here we go, our sleeve right here. And again, I wanna make sure that this is nice and clear and free from any particulates or issues. And I'm gonna carefully take my card, and I like to actually do it this way, you can see. All right, so we're gonna carefully bring this down. You can give it a little bit of a squeeze to help push it in there easier. Main thing we're trying to do is keep this centered while we're getting it in the sleeve. So I'm gonna turn this around so I can see a little bit better. And we're gonna carefully get that down, down, down. Try and center it as best as you can. And then right here, it's looking pretty good, but I'm gonna give it just a little bit of a tap, just to bring it down, and that's what we want. So that is a ready to submit Black Knight hologram 2019 Fortnite Series 1. So we're gonna go ahead and wipe this off and get this ready to submit online to PSA for grading. And that is my process. Now we're gonna go through the same exact process again, but for a Black Knight crystal shard right now, coming up next.